Hi, Gene Monterastelli here, the editor of tappingqa.com. The video that you are about to watch is a conversation that was a part of this year's 24 Hours of Tapping. The 24 Hours of Tapping is a fundraiser for the amazing work that is done by the Peaceful Heart Network. The Peaceful Heart Network has brought tapping to migrants, refugees, prisoners, and the underprivileged in over 30 countries all over the world. As you watch this video, if you learned something, if you were touched by it, if you were inspired by it, the easiest way to say thank you is to support the work of the Peaceful Heart Network. To do that, all you need to do is go to 24hoursoftapping.com/support. And as you look in the description and the first comment down below, you will see a direct link to that. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Next up, we have Alina Frank. And she's going to be talking about attracting your soulmate and your earthmate with EFT. Alina Frank is an EFT master trainer of trainer and runs the EFT Tapping Training Institute with her husband, Dr. Craig Weiner. She is a contributing author of 8 books on EFT and the co-producer of the Science of Tapping film. Please welcome to our digital stage, Alina. Hello.
Hey. Hi, Gene. How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing well. You look pretty fresh and yeah, great for almost halfway done.
Well, we're not quite halfway done. We're a little closer to the quarter way done. Just to give you a sense of where my state of mind is, I needed some food, so I sent my team a note that said, could you please bring me a plate of snakes instead of a plate of snacks? They were actually able to figure it out, and they brought me food, and they did not bring me a pit of vipers. So they at least understand if I cannot communicate effectively as we navigate through this.
Yeah. Well, you did such a great job last year. I know that now you even have more help, so you're all good to go. You're fresh as a daisy.
Yeah. So awesome. So I was super excited when we were having a conversation ahead of time about what you wanted to share about. And so just as a starting point, I would love to hear, because I'm always fascinated by what people are passionate about and why they are passionate about that thing. So what brought you to wanting to spend time with relationships, with romantic relationships, with really true deep connection between people? Like, how did we land there for you?
Yeah, I mean, the way that it started for me was I realized after a 17-year marriage that I had really been a serial monogamist most of my life, just kind of bumping and landing in relationships without much plan or focus or, You're here in my space and I guess I am meant to be with you. And after that marriage didn't work out, I just felt like I needed to do a deep dive into healing myself and really looking at, and I was already an EFT practitioner by that time. And it was one area that I swear I did not want to look at. You know how that goes. Like, no. But then, as we know, like what you haven't resolved, it's going to keep showing up. And so at one day after another, I had clients showing up presenting with the fears of ending a marriage or, being in a sexless marriage, which was my case. And so I was like, okay, I will throw up my hands and I will do the work on myself first. And then I just found that I really loved it. And then soon after I started on that path, asked for a divorce, first person in my family to ask for, to be divorced, like all of these stories that I had about why I couldn't move forward when I couldn't do that. Shortly after I did, I manifested the love of my life, which you're going to meet in about 3 hours or so.
Yep.
So yeah, and it's such a joy. I think that people that haven't been in this kind of relationship, they kind of have a sense of it. But when you're really living it, you want to give that joy and happiness to the world. You want other people to experience that level of comfort and safety and joy with another human being on your path. And so, yeah, that's how I landed into it.
Awesome. And I love the very specific vocabulary that you've used for our conversation. Soulmate-Earthmate. What do you mean by that very specific piece of vocabulary?
Yes. So a soulmate is, I think we all kind of know that it's this idea that you find someone and there is this deep connection and a feeling like you've known them for a long time and you have this affinity towards each other. And there's something that makes you feel like, oh, I feel like I have known you before in the past, maybe in a past life or there are all these synchronicities that are happening. And so there must be something here to explore. But that's only half of it. And I'll explain more later when we get into like other definitions of things. It's the earthmate part, which is this person is someone that I truly respect. They have talents and traits and behaviors that I respect and that I like. And they treat me really well. They make my life easier. Oh, and yeah, there's this sexual chemistry piece too. So all of that, the person that makes your life easier, compliments you. And yeah, I think that's the easiest way to say it. It's like, if they contribute so much to your life that it's not a stress or a worry or a concern or fears around it. It just, there's a flow in the relationship that's really beautiful that other people notice, like, wow, okay, I don't have that kind of marriage, or I do have that kind of relationship. But it to say that it is both, and you're looking for a soulmate and an earthmate, I think really gives you a complete picture.
And so like, it's great for us to have a target to shoot for. Like, you know, it's always easier to find something when we know what we're looking for, you know.
Yes.
The difference between having a plan and not walking into an outlet mall is having a plan. I either find the pair of pants or not having the plan. I wander around for 4.5 hours and I walk out with powdered sugar down my front because I thought it was a good idea to eat a funnel cake and walk around the mall at the same time.
Right.
Now, once we have that plan, once we have a little bit of direction, that is a great first step. So I now know this thing that I'm shooting for. What then does the internal work, the process, the steps, what are the questions that I need to be asking? What are the things that I either need to be looking to from my past or the way I define myself? What does that process start to look like once we have a sense of what that is?
Yeah. So great analogy about the outlet mall. And I would say that you go in without a plan, and what happens is you bump into the funnel cake place, and then it's in your face and you want to have it. And so, and even if you go with a plan saying, I want a pair of shoes, you might get there and suddenly be more attracted to a pair of impractical stilettos.
Right.
And walk away saying, oh my gosh, I just spent $150, buying something that I really didn't want or need. Why did that happen? And I think that comes from all of our past, all of the baggage, not really consciously aware that we are constantly attracting. And so the things that we are attracting, or the people that we attract, give us useful information. And so if we do have a very solid list based on talents and traits and behaviors, not so much on compatibility, because compatibility is this idea of, I like to play tennis and you like to play tennis, and somehow we're going to have a great marriage as a result of that.
Right.
Where I went off to a broom workshop, making my own broom last Monday, and somebody came and they did a circle, and it was a lot of fun. Craig couldn't care less about making a broom. And I went and I had a great time, and I brought home like the joy of doing that, and how, oh, look at the broom that I made, and conversation around it. And he enjoys that I enjoyed it, but we don't have to be in this place of, let me check the boxes for the things that I'm doing in my life that I want a companion for. I think that we've been kind of misled with all of the dating apps that just rely on that kind of compatibility thing. Where, and we know that isn't enough, because the statistics for failed marriages are just as high with people that meet online in those apps as if people meeting, offline, or, somewhere more in a traditional fashion. So you have the list. You know what it is that you want. And then you have to think of what is it I'm attracting that my unconscious or my subconscious is bringing me awareness about that is really the healing. Do I always attract people that don't care for me? Don't take really good care of me? Don't make me feel loved? Am I attracting people that are safe? Am I attracting people that I have no chemistry with because of my past, maybe sexual trauma or sexual injury in my past, where unconsciously I'm attracting someone that I'm not attracted to so that I won't feel that real problem of fear and safety. So you're looking for, okay, this is what I'm attracting. Let me take some stock here. Let me step back and see, what is it? What do I need to do now in order to clear that up? There's some things in my past relationships that have failed, maybe even childhood, maybe even the way our parents loved us is the way it's just being showing up again and again in my romantic relationship.
Sorry about that. Technology is wonderful, except when it is not. So the thing I was going to say is that, you know, what you're pointing to there is this idea that, like, in my mind, I think about the fact that, like, once is an anomaly, twice is a coincidence, three times is a pattern. And Absolutely. So if we're in this circumstance where we're able to look back and go, okay, the last half a dozen dating relationships I had, how did they rhyme? What are the things that, what are the things that I am consistently complaining to my friends about in my dating life, about my partners, about whatever is going on, and starting from this position of thinking about, okay, great. What is the stuff that's going on? And that creates like an entry point. Like, that's certainly not the solution to what we are doing, but it gives us the opportunity to kind of step in and think about it in that particular way. As you are working with clients or you're coaching folks to work on their own, is there a particular way that you're having them think about and find those patterns, or is it dependent on the person you're talking to? Like, okay, great. So I know where I'm heading. I know, boy, look at these patterns and I have this history. How do I then make that pattern in history a useful thing for me?
Right. So I think it's really important to actually do an inventory and write down the names of your past romantic relationships, how long they lasted, and what were the things that made you break up, or that they broke up with you, or that the relationship just fizzled out or ended. What were those things? And then you look for that pattern, like you say, and then it's very clear. Oh, I can see now that the last three people that I dated, I had there were lacking things that I respect about them. And so what happened was I got bored, and I didn't really respect them. And it showed up in my maybe nitpicking, maybe I was critical of them, where it was just that I was with the wrong person. It wasn't anything that they are doing necessarily wrong. It's just not right for me. And so, today I think that, the last few years, what I have seen is more women in particular really getting to the point where if I am not in the absolute best relationship possible, I would rather be single. There is so much sort of dismantling of the patriarchy and what it means to be in a relationship that we'd rather be alone than to deal with someone who doesn't accept us as we are, where we can't live completely authentically anymore. I mean, it just doesn't. It's no one wants the kind of marriage that women of an older generation had. They just, why do it? There's no need to do it financially anymore. There's no reason why legally we need to be wed in order to get a credit card or able to be able to get a driver's license. That those days are gone. And so now it's like, what is it that we really want? And so I know women that have said, for the first time in my life, I'm asking myself, what is it that I like to do? What is it that I want to do with my life? What would make me feel fulfilled? What is going to give me purpose? rather than asking through the filter or the lens of a partner. Gee, would this make my husband happy? Gee, would this make my boyfriend happy? If I wear this, is it going to be pleasing to him? And so that's no longer, have you noticed that, like, culturally?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, and for me, I'm very, very lucky living in New York City, in which, people have a tendency to get into long-term serious relationships later, just because it's such a hard city to live in, because you're needing to get yourself feet under the ground because it's so expensive, which means, as I am dating in my late 40s, I'm dating folks who've done the work. I'm dating folks who have been thinking backwards and, that sort of stuff, on more than one occasion when I have matched with someone on an online dating app, I have been asked directly if I am in therapy. I mean, literally, I'm doing the work. Are you doing the work too? Because I need to understand what your commitment is to showing up in the world in a healthy way, which obviously, because of the work that I do and the place that I sit in the world and how I live, I love the fact that that's a question that is being asked as well. And so what's, I think one of the things, obviously, our past relationships impact us. Obviously, any childhood trauma impacts us, the types of relationships our parents have. But one of the things that you are speaking to is kind of the, in some cases, just looking at it and calling it institutional trauma, where we are in this circumstance where there is a cultural framework which is defining the way we think about all of these things, I mean, like the Bechdel test, when people are looking at movies, I don't know if folks don't know it, like the Bechdel test is, are there two female characters in the movie that talk to each other and it's not about a romantic relationship?
Yes.
And just like this really simple lens of looking at how are we talking about relationships, and, and what's like, and this is not like, I do not like, as a cis, intelligent white male, I don't have the same struggles that lots of folks do as they do that. But I also recognize the fact that, I had to transform my understanding of relationship as well, because I had been handed the exact same cultural story of this is the way it's supposed to look and that sort of thing. And just like recalibrating what is good and useful for me, not what is the good and useful story that folks are telling. And so as folks are starting to recognize and wrestle with that, it's not like, so I have these patterns. Okay. I have these patterns. Why am I falling into these patterns? Well, there is this cultural story that exists in my hometown, in my religion, in my family, in whatever that particular thing is what it looks like. How do we then, Dr. T, who is the head of, oh my gosh, I can't think of her name right now. I'll have it later. But I saw her present at Donna Eden's conference last summer, and she talked about decolonizing my mind. And taking all of these stories and getting them out of my head. So let's say I am now in this fact that I recognize that's what's going on. How do we then do that? Like, again, it's one thing to know this is the work that needs to be done in a general way, because more than likely we're in a circumstance, we don't have the specifics. We haven't found the stories. We haven't found our particular hangups. How do we lean into that and transform that?
So first I'm going to ask for a clarifying question. But first I want to add a little asterisk to what you said before, which is, please. The healing that you really commit to your own healing. There is sort of like this myth out there that I have to be evolved enough and healed enough to attract a partner who's at that same place. And so I've got to continuously work on myself. And what I've seen with this work, which is so delicious to me, is the idea that the right person actually facilitates healing in you. So you come to the relationship with this wound, let's say around my body. Like I have hang-ups around my body image and all of that. One of the ways that we know that your earthmate soulmate is the one is that they say things like, I really love this part of your body, which you're like horrified, but in a way,
Right.
not hearing that from someone that you trust and you love and feel safe with is actually very healing. So I just wanted to
Yeah, and what I love what you're leaning into here is this, for me, I want to be in a circumstance where I am with someone who is committed to transformation.
Yes.
Not that I am with someone who is transformed.
Yes, there you go.
I want to be walking alongside someone who is like recognizing, oh, I can be healthier and I can have support in doing that, and I can support someone else in doing that. And so I really love the subtlety of that particular distinction that you're making there.
Yeah, and we all know that anyone that says they're completely healed and they're done with their healing journey is like, run the other way.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
So how do you go about, and was your question about how do you like take yourself apart and
I guess the question is, so dispositionally, like I am a practicalist. Like the question that makes the question that matters most to me as a practitioner and a human in the world is, how is this working for you? Yeah. And if it's not working, how do I create change? So the question is, I recognize it's not working for me. What are some practical things that I can do? What are the practical things that folks can do so that we can go, okay, great. It's not working for me. Aspirationally, I would like to be here. What are some of the first steps that we can take to get from here or there? And is it inventory? Is it finding past issues? And I'm sure it's a whole salad, a buffet of things, but I'm just kind of, that's sorry for the imprecision of my question. That's what I'm
that's great. So step one is getting really clear. What have you been attracting? What is it? Actually, the law of contrast is fantastic for this. So trying to come up with a person is, I'm like this. I don't work well with a blank slate. Give me information and I can kind of massage it and tweak it and make it my own. So why not use your past relationships as a reference point and say, okay, I went out with Joey and these were the things that were missing. And so once you get clarity about that, then you can say, all right, what is it that I do want? I didn't like that. What is it that I do want? But one of the things that you can do, and again, exploring your past and all of the hurt and the pain and the things that you carry, one of the things that you can really do well is take the time to get over your fear of being alone and saying no to the wrong person. That's huge. That's huge. So the program that I run, I jokingly tell the women going through the program, it's like, it's going to sound like this. No, 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 no. Oh, hell no. Yeah. No, no. No, it's not going to work. No, no. Yes, 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 yes. So the more clear you are with your message to the universe, like, no, that's not enough. That's not enough. Doesn't meet my requirements. Doesn't pass the test. Doesn't have the sexual chemistry that I need. Doesn't have the other things that will really make my heart and my soul sing. I'm going to say no to that, and quickly. And if I have a fear about that, then I really need to work on that with EFT or other tools, getting over your fear of being alone, fear of making a mistake, fear of, saying no to someone. That's a big deal, especially we've been conditioned, like, you're a nice girl, you don't say no.
And so just as a brief interlude, as we continue along this path, would you be willing to just lead us in a little bit of tapping and kind of show us what it's like to engage in that particular way? And I will serve as your echo and audience surrogate. Everybody who's watching along with us live or on the replay, please tap along with us. Yeah. Even if this isn't the place that you are right now, this sort of tapping, we're going to find some stuff that's useful. So I'm following your lead.
Excellent. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a technique used in clinical EFT, which is tail enders. You're listening to your inner dialogue. What is the struggle? Mm-hmm. What am I not seeing clearly? So we're going to tap, and then I want you to write down or remember what it was that came after what we tapped on. We're going to tap on something positive, and you're going to hear the little voice in the back of your head saying, yeah, no way. I can't believe it. I'm not good enough. I can't have that. And that's what you're going to be tapping on and trying to find later on where that voice comes from.
And,
right?
and just before we do that, I want to stick a pin in one small thing. One of the most common questions I get to the question and answer website I run is, should I tap on positive phrases or should I tap on negative phrases? And what you're pointing to here is, if we say a positive phrase that our subconscious mind does not buy, the negative phrase is going to show up if we're paying attention. So it doesn't matter if we walk in through the negative door or the positive door. So I just to throw that out there to folks as we step into this. So great.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, so let's start at the top of the head, because we're not clearing anything. We're tapping to tune in. So I deserve to be loved completely for who I am.
I deserve to be loved for completely who I am.
I deserve to be with a partner who cares deeply for me.
I deserve to be with a partner who cares deeply for me.
I deserve an ideal romantic partner who absolutely adores me.
I deserve a romantic partner who absolutely adores me.
I deserve a spouse who helps me in every way.
I deserve a spouse who helps me in every way.
I deserve to be happy beyond belief.
I deserve to be happy beyond belief.
Okay, we're going to pause. Did you have some yeah buts around the deserving? Find out what that's from.
Yeah.
I'm giving your audience, like, what is it? Where did you, what happened in your past that makes you feel that you aren't worthy? So we'll keep going.
And the thing that Alina said at the beginning was to remember or write down. You're not going to remember. I work with clients and they'll say, what'd you just say? I'm like, I don't know, because I'm so in flow. That is the reason why I never tap without a pencil in my hand. As these tail enders come up, even if we're not clearing them down, write them down. Awesome. Absolutely. Continue.
All right, let's go. I trust that the universe is conspiring to bring me that person now.
I trust the universe is conspiring to bring them to me.
Yep. I trust that divine timing will bring them at just the right moment.
I trust that divine timing will bring them at just the right moment.
I trust that they will find me.
I trust they will find me.
I trust that all I need to do is to continue to love my life.
I trust all I need to do is continue to love my life.
Okay, pause. Stuff about trust. Was there
and the
something?
Thing is, yeah. And the thing that's really interesting about that last one there has nothing specifically to do with relationship, that I can trust that I can love my life. Like that is inside, outside of whatever. And if I'm in a circumstance that I don't believe I can love my life, it doesn't matter if I'm partnered or not. Doesn't mean if I found the exact right person, that if I'm dispositionally having this resistance that I can love my life, then if the right person shows up, boy, am I going to do an awesome job to blow that thing up as I'm engaging with that.
Great. So you just gave me a nice segue for the next round. All right. I love my life right now exactly the way it is.
I love my life right now exactly the way it is.
I love myself exactly the way I am.
I love myself exactly the way that I am.
I love my body, and so does my partner.
I love my body, and so does my partner.
I enjoy being alone.
I enjoy being alone.
I like treating myself well.
I like treating myself well.
I love taking care of myself.
I love taking care of myself.
I prioritize my needs.
I prioritize my needs.
All right. Listen. Write down. Tail enders. Where did that lack of loving yourself come from?
So one of the things that I notice inside of this particular thing, and again, like as we look at tapping, is this is an investigation tool, which has some transformation in it. This is not the primary transformation. Like, transformation happens, and part of the reason why we tap is so we can downregulate our emotion, and we can hear what is coming from our subconscious mind more clearly, and all of that sort of stuff. But what I love, like, I've never thought about it explicitly in these terms of just going, I'm going to go do a round of tapping just to, as my friend of mine describes himself, he says, I am a trolling motor on a septic tank. I'm just in here to stir the crap up. And like that, like, this is a really like safe, contained way for us to do that and really go, where are the bruises? What are the bruises that I'm poking? Because like, I love the phrase poke the bruise, because like I can have a bruise in the middle of my thigh and I can navigate my day without thinking about it at all. And then one night I go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and it happens to be the exact height of the sink in my bathroom. And all of a sudden I'm crippled by that pain, and the sink didn't injure me. It just went into the wound and went, look at this thing. Right. And that's what it feels like we're doing here, is we're going, okay, I'm going to poke around and go, oh, ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Look at this entry point for us to look at this in a really constructive way.
Absolutely. All right, I got a couple more rounds.
Awesome.
All right. My partner shows me that they love me every day.
My partner shows me that they love me every day.
My partner and I have real palpable chemistry.
My partner and I have real palpable chemistry.
My partner always makes me feel safe.
My partner always makes me feel safe.
Okay.
These are all just so good. And one of the things that we're going to do for everybody watching along is we're going to take all of these and we're going to transcribe them. And we're just, when we make this video available, we're going to give you guys the tapping scripts as well, the tapping phrases as well. So you can use them in lots of different ways.
Wonderful. All right. One last one.
Yep.
I am able to say no.
I am able to say no.
To the wrong potential partners.
To the wrong potential partners.
So that ultimately I can say yes to the right one.
So I can ultimately say yes to the right one.
I have attained great wisdom.
I have attained great wisdom.
From my past romantic relationships.
From my past romantic relationships.
And each of those experiences.
And each of those experiences.
Has brought me closer to the one.
Has brought me closer to the one.
Okay. Excitement, fear, the yeah buts. That's where the work is. That is where the work is.
And again, like, and what we've done here is we've poked into like the really scary stuff. And again, like a way that I would very, very effectively self-sabotage myself is go, oh yeah, I'm going to remember those the next time I sit down to tap, which is me giving myself permission to forget, because the next time I sit down to tap, there's going to be something pressing that is short-term and that is whatever, that is good that I respond to. But if this is something that I am committed and serious about changing in my life, like I want it to be in a different way, then we really need to be taking these tail enders seriously. And the other thing I think is good for us to say out loud in a moment like this is it is possible as you're going through something like this, you're going to find a memory, you're going to find a story, you're going to find a tail ender that you don't have the capacity to respond to that safely. And you need to reach out to a well-formed, well-skilled practitioner who can handle that particular thing. Like, I totally appreciate when a client shows up to me and is like, I was doing my tapping on my own and this thing came up and I did everything I could just to get my feet back on the ground so it wasn't overwhelming me. Help me by holding a safe space for us to do this particular thing. Like, we need to, I think it's really important for us in the tapping community to normalize, I can surface something on my individual tapping, which I then take someplace else to have help inside of that. It's not that I can only do it with my practitioner and bring it in. Yeah.
And I want to reiterate, because I popped in early and I was listening to your conversation with Lori. I do appreciate the idea of that. There's so many different ways of doing this. For example, with the charity that you're sponsoring here. Yep. The TTT is so wonderful because it includes communal healing. It's singing. It's not deep diving into the trauma, because that is not appropriate.
Yeah. And not only is it not appropriate, it's not, there's a difference between appropriate. It's not safe. Like it's more than not appropriate. Like, let's call it what it is. It's dangerous to do that sort of thing.
Exactly. And so this is just another, and there's regulating tapping just to bring your nervous system down to a place that it's calm. But the deeper work, especially when you come up against something that is traumatic or that you feel that you cannot handle on your own, because sometimes it's just like a real hairball. Like there are all of these different tentacles that go out in so many different ways that you on your own just can't track it all. And so a good practitioner really does track all of that for you.
And the other thing, like, yes, good practitioners do that. And I am just a super big firm believer of tracking my own work as well. Every single time I sit down to tap, I'm like, just note, on the 14th, this is the issue I tapped on, because like I was in a circumstance a couple of years ago where I did that every day when I was tapping. And then I was looking back in January and I went, oh, you tapped on professional jealousy 9 times this month. And I knew there was something that was bubbling around, but when I saw it in black and white, but then also just being able to recognize the next time I sit down to tap, what are the things that are going on in this particular place? The other thing I like to capture as well, not only the tail enders, but the insights, because we have these breakthroughs, because what then happens is I have my true self speaks something about me that I know at my core level, which now becomes really useful the next time I sit down to tap, because I might have an insight about that in me in relationships for 7.5 seconds. And then the subconscious mind goes, no, scary. And so I can use the insight I had in a tapping session, exactly like you're describing right here, where I can then tap on that and I go, okay, great. I know this is true. And my subconscious mind still has a bunch of tail enders. What are those tail enders that are rooting around in there as we wrestle with this particular thing?
And some of those insights then will come to you that are not your own. They come from other really amazing places in the universe. So when I was doing this exercise and I was trying to attract my partner, I got a little voice in my head that said, one of the things I was tapping on is I had 2 really particularly challenging kids at that moment. They were just going through challenging time. And for whatever reason, teenage years were great. Preteen for them, horrid. And so one of the things I tapped on was, who's going to want me with these really bratty preteen kids? And so I knew that when I was tapping, I cleared it when I had a little voice in my head that said, well, the man that's going to step into your life is actually not going to ever he's never had children of his own. He loves children, never had children of his own for whatever reason. His circumstances in life didn't allow him to have it, but he loves children. Do you know that I spoke at Craig's chiropractic office? He found me just online and said, can you speak in my office on EFT? And there wasn't any chemistry. There was like a nice guy. Wow, how weird that I haven't met you all these years living in a small island. And then verbatim came those words. When I saw him interacting with children at a fair, I said, Dr. Craig, you really have, a real connection with kids. Verbatim were the words. I love children, but because of my life circumstance, I've never been. And I just went, so those beautiful, rich insights that will come not only from you, but from your expanded you.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. And again, that's, so again, writing stuff down, like I write down what I tapped on, but I also write down what is the insight that I had today. Yes. And one of the things that I love doing is every 7 to 10 days, just look at the last 7 to 10 insights and just go insight 1, insight 2, insight 3, and just take, because they're like, I always think about the fact that it's not like grace is not doled out like Halloween candy. Yeah. Instead, I am swimming in grace, and occasionally I get out of my way enough to recognize the grace that I am swimming in. And those little gems are things that I need to cling to, because I was able to get out of the way and I found that piece of truth, and for us to go back to it. And so I love the fact that, like, You were so aware of your own process that when it showed up a second time, not in here, but in a tangible space in the world, it was like, huh. And I'm guessing it wasn't like, this is a done deal. It was more like, huh, this is fascinating. It's now time to ask the next question and kind of figure out what that looks like as we move forward.
Exactly. Yeah, really.
Awesomeness.
That's how it went.
Excellent. Well, awesome, Alina. Thank you very much for sharing your time and your insight and your wisdom. Yeah, just so super appreciated. I know that,
my pleasure, Gene. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. This is a fabulous event. I'm so glad. And the numbers are great. I'm going to go right now and I'm going to donate myself.
Awesome.
I encourage everyone. It's such a great cause. Get out there, show your love.
Awesome. Thank you, my dear. I'll talk to you real soon. If you found this interview inspiring, I would encourage you to support the Peaceful Heart Network by going to 24hoursoftapping.com/support or clicking the link in the description. And you will see on the screen right now a playlist to all of the interviews from this year's and last year's 24 Hours of Tapping. I hope you enjoyed those as well.